Hi, I'm Millcreek Supervisor Dan Ouellet, and here with me today is Millcreek Fire Chief Mike Cliff. We're here to discuss the SAFER grant and what it means to our community. Chief Cliff, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Chief, I guess we'll start off with maybe you can explain to us what is the SAFER grant and why is this significant to Millcreek?
So the SAFERS grant was developed by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and it was something that came about after 9/11, where firefighters across the country started pushing the federal government that we needed some help in the fire service. So it was a wake-up call that staffing across the country was at a minimum. So they developed the SAFERS grant, which is the adequate staffing of firefighters. And, there's an application process that individual communities can apply for and, hopefully, have a chance at some of this money. It's really big for Millcreek Township specifically because, as a new department starting off from not having any paid staff to now having paid staff on, this grant is going to afford us the opportunity to really take off running with having paid staff on.
Pretty much building off of the service of our volunteers over the past 85 years, having the career firefighters and the volunteer firefighters working together, this will provide certainly an adequate amount of firefighters per day.
Absolutely.
Great. Now, how much funding did the fire department get with the SAFERS grant?
So Millcreek Township was awarded $5,425,878, which is pretty significant. So I went back and looked at some numbers to try to see exactly, what we were contending with. So for all of the departments across the country that applied for SAFERS money, there was only a total of $360 million that was available. And the national average that departments did receive was $1.88 million. So when you look at the numbers that Millcreek got, we got about 3 times the amount of the national average in our award. And then when you look at us compared to the rest of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we were only one of 2 departments that received money for staffing. We received the $5.4 million. The city of Meadville received, I think, $1.8 million. And then there was also 11 different awards that were given out for volunteer-only departments, which is specifically earmarked to recruitment and retention grants.
Mm-hmm.
So, you look at a total of, there's only 191 applications nationwide that were awarded. So 191 nationwide, and we were one of those recipients. So, it only accounts to about 5% of the applications submitted were actually awarded. So, when you really look at the big picture of, one, us getting a SAFERS grant, and then the amount of money that we got, the $5.4 million, is really significant. We are really blessed to be able to receive this money from this award.
Right. Well, Millcreek Township certainly is very fortunate. This is a very highly competitive grant, and there is quite a process to actually make it to a point where you do receive an award.
Yeah.
And Millcreek Township is very fortunate.
And with the application period, as far as like the review process, we have to fill out the application. It gets submitted to a platform, and it gets a computer score. So a computer looks at our application and judges it. And it's all automated by, algorithms. And they look at things of like our demographics, our community risk assessment. They look at our population, our call volume. There's so many factors that kind of come into it. And, when you look at Millcreek being, 32 square miles with 54,000 people that have residency, not even taking into consideration of our transient population, the people that are traveling along the interstates and coming into Millcreek Township during the day. This is just, population of residents. We have the international airport, that is in Millcreek Township as well. So when you look at the risk assessments for Millcreek, we had a lot of exposure. So we made it through that computer scoring. And then after that, we had to go to what was called a peer review, where you have individuals all over the country that take and actually hand score these applications. And a lot of times it's known that if you make it to the peer review, there's a good chance, or make it through the peer review, there's a good chance you're going to get awarded. And again, we obviously made it through all those different layers to get to this point.
No, it's really great. So how will the SAFER grant funding be used?
So this grant's going to allow us to hire 15 full-time firefighters. We had to submit information along with our application about what it's going to cost to hire firefighters. We had to put a number. So we knew that we wanted to add additional staffing per day. So with the 15 firefighters, it's going to give us the ability to put 5 more full-time firefighters on per day. So currently we're staffing with 3 part-time, 3 full-time. And this is going to bump us up to be able to have, 5 additional firefighters per day.
Great. How does this grant benefit Millcreek taxpayers?
So the grant is all-encompassing for the wages and benefits of these 15 firefighters. So when you think about what it costs to employ, these firefighters, the taxpayers don't have to pay anything for 3 years. So with the grant, it's going to pay for the 15 firefighters over the 3 years. It will pay 100% of wages, their hourly wages, their insurance that they would get as part of their employment package, and then also their pension as well. So when you look at the exposure to the township on obviously wages, benefits, pension, this grant covers it 100% for 3 years. So it's a huge relief to the taxpayers, that it's going to extend the time period out where, they're going to have to pay for these firefighters.
That's wonderful. So what does this mean for the future of the Millcreek Fire Department?
So, with Millcreek Fire having paid staff now, we're ultimately working right now through a consolidation where we're bringing all the volunteer fire departments together under one umbrella. We're working together. We're still going to have a heavily reliance on the volunteers. Right now, we know that there's an immediate response for paid staff, but we're still relying heavily on these volunteers. Millcreek Township, has obviously adopted a standards of cover, and without us working together with paid and volunteer, we wouldn't be able to meet the standards of cover that we've established that we want to have in place. So, even on a daily staffing of paid staff, we're only going to get, anywhere between 10 and 12 people on scene. As paid staff, we're still going to rely on those volunteers. We need another 10 people at least to try to hit those standards of covers for when we have fires in the township.
Right. Chief, maybe you can explain a little bit about the standard of cover, why the township adopted a standard, and what does that mean to the average viewer who's watching this show?
So a standard of cover is essentially a statement by the township that says that we want to hit basic benchmarks, which is in line with national standards of firefighting. So without a standards of cover, without a goal to achieve, it doesn't push us to try to do better and try to meet the needs of the community. So with a residential structure fire, within the township, we would want to have around 20 firefighters on scene in less than 10 minutes. And it's a big lift when you have an all-volunteer organization, because people are coming from, their day jobs or coming from home, what have you. So to try to get enough people there fast, it's very challenging. But, the township looked at national standards, worked with some consultants to say what is our goals for the township, and we want to ultimately make sure that it's beneficial for the residents, where it's a safe community, but also it's safe for our firefighters. We have a 2-in, 2-out rule. So, for 2 firefighters to go inside of a burning structure, we need to have 2 people on the outside. And again, it's just hitting some of these benchmarks of excellence that we're looking to do.
Right. So that goes on to explain a little bit further about what you meant by, we'd have between an 11 and 12 career firefighters on duty, and then we're really counting on the balance of, the 20 that we want there coming from the volunteer side.
Yeah.
To make that a safe and workable environment for everybody. Great. Thanks, Chief. So how will the new firefighters improve emergency response in Millcreek?
So we're going to be able to improve our response. So right now we're staffing 2 stations. We're staffing Kearsarge, where we're at now, and we're also staffing Westridge. And with these additional firefighters that are going to be coming on, it's going to allow us to have extra staff to branch out even a little bit further. We're going to have staffing in the Bell Valley district, and we're also going to have staffing in Westlake. So when we look at our response times, having people staged across the township in all 4 districts, it's really going to benefit that response time. We're going to be able to see us reduce those times to probably somewhere around 5 to 7 minutes at the most.
Right.
So
That's great. In today's fires and in the modern home with, modern furnishings, people don't have a lot of time to get out of a fire. Roughly, would you say it's about 3 minutes from the time your smoke detector activates for you to get outside?
absolutely. Yeah. The home construction today versus what it was, 50 years ago is totally different. Homes aren't built the way they used to be. Modern construction is lightweight construction. So the overall structures are, they're not going to be able to withstand the fire as long as some of the older homes. But then also because of the hydrocarbons and all of our furniture, our furnishings that are inside of these houses and the fire loads, when there is a fire, it takes off fast. So, again, just reiterating that it's important to get there fast. People have to get out of the house fast. And oftentimes when you hear of fatality fires, it's not from actually being burned. Most of these fatality fires is from inhaling smoke. And you could have a single room that would potentially catch on fire, or an appliance that could fill the entire house with smoke and potentially risk an exposure of a smoke inhalation.
Great. So really having a staff fire engine in each of our 4 fire districts within the township is going to be a huge benefit to our residents.
Absolutely.
Great. Chief, what role do the new firefighters play in fire suppression and EMS responses?
So right now, the paid staff are responding to all hazards really in the township. So we're going on regular fire calls, car accidents. We go on carbon monoxide calls and smoke alarms or alarm system activations for commercial structures. Occasionally, we even do a cat rescue. So we obviously have a big, exposure with the lake here. So we respond to all sorts of hazards that involve with the lake and water. We also are quick responding for EMS calls. So anytime there's a priority 1 response in the township, which would entail an emergency, meaning that we need to respond with lights and siren, the paid engine companies are responding to help out with Millcreek Paramedic Service for those EMS calls as well.
So you're actually getting responders to the scene, potentially even before the ambulance arrives, to provide emergency care until, that staffed ambulance comes on scene.
Yeah. To that point, we actually increased the level of EMS response we were doing previously. So since we've had the paid staff on, we transitioned to an advanced life support engine company model, meaning that we have paramedics that can do advanced level care, and we have all the equipment as well. So everything that would be typically on an ambulance to be able to provide life-saving interventions to patients, we also have on our fire trucks now. So our personnel being staffed and being staged across the township will be able to respond and provide those life-saving interventions alongside or sometimes even before the ambulance even gets there.
That's great. A wonderful addition to the service we're providing to the residents.
Yeah. And, fire and EMS work so hand in hand. Most firefighters are dual trained when they get into it. It just goes hand in hand of having EMS and fire training and certification. So it is a good addition to what we were previously providing.
Great. Chief, can you tell us, just how does the SAFER grant align with the Millcreek's long-term safety goals?
I think ultimately Millcreek Township, is constantly trying to look at ways to improve and be better at what we do. And obviously with the SAFER's grant and having the funds to increase the staffing. I think that the SAFERS grant has given us that ability to do it faster than what we would organically have been able to do it. It probably would have taken, I'm guessing, throwing out a number, 10 years to try to ramp up some of the services that we're providing today. The SAFERS grant is an immediate relief to us to be able to instantly try to provide that service to the community that they obviously desperately need.
Chief, how can community members support the Millcreek Fire Department?
So I think as far as support goes, if people want to get engaged with us, we're always looking to add on additional volunteers through our volunteer component. Also, knowledge is power as well. So if residents, want to be engaged or, be involved, I would encourage them to, reach out to their local volunteer department if they have a relationship with some of those members, or even engage with myself or even with the fire commission. And we have quarterly meetings through the fire commission that, they're open to the public. We want people to engage with us. We really want to start hearing more feedback from the community as far as what services or what can we do to help provide service, or also even community outreach, education, those types of things that we're going to continue to build on in the future here.
Very good. Chief, looking at the future of the fire service, I know we met with several members of the community about the future of the fire service and where they saw the future and kind of what they hoped, they could get from the fire department.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit about that process and how that went?
Absolutely. So we reached out to a consultant firm. It's CEPSI. It's the Centers for Public Safety Excellence. And they're a national organization that helped do strategic plans. So Millcreek Township completed a community-driven strategic plan. So what we did was we had residents from all over the township come in and participate with us, and we asked them a series of questions. We wanted to know what we're doing well, what we need to improve on, and then we were also asking for feedback as far as from the community on surveys, what they wanted to see from the fire department into the future. So we got all those results back, and it was really eye-opening. I think ultimately, township-wide, the stance was from the feedback is that they wanted to see staffing throughout the entire township. They knew that Millcreek was new, just started out. We were staffing a couple locations, and it was very apparent they wanted staffing across the entire township. They also made it very clear that they wanted Millcreek Township to continue in the hybrid model of having paid staff and volunteers. Millcreek has been really a staple as far as having volunteers for the past 85 years. The community recognizes that heritage and history, and they wanted to continue that. So we took the information that we got from the residents and we brought it back to an internal stakeholder where we went through a series of exercise over 3 days where we really got to work on trying to put plans in place on how we can best serve the community based off of their feedback that they gave us and what they wanted. So it was a very challenging exercise, but I think it was really necessary. But it was an opportunity for the residents to give us the feedback of what our focus and initiatives are going to be going forward. And now that we are finalizing that strategic plan, is creating us a roadmap, and now we're going to be able to have a roadmap for the next 5 years for the fire department and our growth.
That's wonderful. I know we had roughly 50 residents volunteered to be part of that process, so that's wonderful. What's next after the SAFER grant period ends? Where do we go from there?
So I think we have a lot to look at in the future. For right now, we're just trying to take baby steps to see where we're going. Obviously, once the SAFER grant ends, the township has made a commitment that they're going to maintain these positions going further. So at that point, we're going to have 26 full-time staff, and we're also going to have a handful of part-time as well. I think ultimately we're just going to have to watch the data and the analytics to see how we're doing. It's going to be over the next 3 years. We'll have the time to kind of get our feet wet, see how things are working with staffing, all 4 districts in the township. We'll be able to look at what the needs are of the township and start assessing kind of where we need to focus our attention after this 3-year period. And if we're good, or if we need to continue building, I think time will tell where we're at there.
Chief, thank you for joining me today. Myself and I know the entire Board of Supervisors is very excited about the future of the fire service in Millcreek. And we can't wait to see what's next.
I appreciate you having me. I think ultimately, your passion for the fire service as well, with your dedication to Westridge for 40 plus years, I think you saw firsthand experience of the challenges that we were having in the fire service and saw the need. And obviously with your position as a township supervisor now, it's really given us this momentum to be able to build this department and provide this service to the community. So I know I'm grateful, and the rest of our team is grateful for all the work that you've done as well.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Well, that'll do it for us here today. I'm Dan Ouellet, and thanks for joining us. Take care.